three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto. This is AZcrypto and MrFOMO. I wish we were coming to you in a better situation. Had to compose ourselves last night before we came on. Said something we regretted. We had the rug pulled beneath us, as they say in crypto, as Binance US pulls out right when you think you're safe. MrFOMO, you kind of said it. Don't celebrate too quickly until you see those funds. And damn, you were right. And yesterday was not a good day. We're here to, put the pieces back together, talk about the court date, talk about the toggle, try to stay as positive as we can because being negative doesn't help the situation. We're going to do the best we can here to pull your spirit. So, MrFOMO, why don't you tell the viewers your initial impression besides the obvious disappointment?
I just really hate it when my skepticism is on. I hate it. I hate that my skepticism is right over and over again. It seems like in crypto, but it just speaks to the idea that in this space you have a lot of people who are what I like to call pirates of unregulated industry, people who are unscrupulous that will do what they need to do to make their own cash. And so, I know there are a lot of people out there that don't see CZ as a villain in all this, but I certainly do. And I see Binance as a villain in this. I see just as much as, maybe not just as much, but as Voyager, Steve, all those.
Here's the deal.
I'm not a fan anymore.
Here's the deal for me. By the way, please hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 500 as quickly as we can. We want to really expand this show and make it one of the best in crypto. So you guys can truly help us out if you hit that like, subscribe, that bell button. Really, really, especially that subscribe button. Please share the show to anyone into or thinking about getting into crypto. My situation is this, MrFOMO. I blame most of this on the UCC and Voyager and Kirkland and Ellis because all they had to do was forget about that clause weeks ago. And it would have been below the 18th, and Binance US wouldn't have been able to go out. But they dragged their feet over something.
I think you said it best on Twitter when you said that, anybody that was truly representing us like the UCC says they were would have removed that clause quick enough to get this deal done. And so, I think you're certainly right. There are certainly greater villains in this than CZ and Binance, but I'm really.
They dragged their feet and they gave them an out and they took the out. We don't know when. There was a tweet that came out early yesterday morning saying, "Look out for emails." 3 hours later, the rug was pulled. So who knows? But it sucks. Here's the reality today at the court. Now we're looking at, instead of an initial 50%. In the next 7 days, we're looking now at 21 days as the earliest. That's right. The earliest it is the earliest. That's the judge said it couldn't be fast-tracked any more than that. 21 days, 10-day period within that 21 where people could kind of object if they wanted. And now we're looking at a 40% to begin, and then as much as 25% more. Do I think it's going to be 25? No, with the Alameda FTX. And that does not have a date. That was not given a date in today's court. So now we're looking at the end of May, early June, just to pick up 40% value. And then hopefully sometime this summer, get the next 20 to 25%. I mean, it's frustrating. And here's the deal. We just can't, we're angry. We're frustrated. But on this show, after today, we're going to go back to recovery mode because that's all we can do. Just feeling sorry for ourselves is not going to help. We're going to be angry. We am angry. Steve, you are a low-life human being for allowing this to happen because you could have sold Voyager 2 days before bankruptcy, and you chose Kirkland and Ellis because you knew they were going to protect you, and you knew that this was a possibility. When you did FTX, you didn't do your due diligence when you were doing the loans and the exposure. Then you didn't do your due diligence. Kirkland and Ellis didn't for FTX. You knew Binance was going to be a difficult road. You still took it. Remember, guys, there was supposed to be a toggle. In fact, I want to thank Digital Dan. We've been watching a show since we got into crypto. He gave us a bit of a plug, and I want to really thank him for that. What he did, which was interesting, and I was looking at my notifications. I'm like, where is this coming from? Well, he actually shared, MrFOMO, a link to my video in early January about how creditors needed a voice. Enough was enough. So I want to really thank him for that. Great show.
I love his show. As a matter of
yeah.
fact, my old background, the pool flex was an homage to his show. I know some people didn't like that, so with a different.
But I wanted to thank him, and if you have not subscribed, like I said, please do so. It greatly helps us out. We plan to increase the shows big time in the future, so helping us out would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, I was screaming for the toggle and the judge to listen to us in January because I had had enough. It's now almost May, and I'm even more upset. And I wasn't planning to yell, but here I am yelling because we keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and they don't care. Steve doesn't care. He's still taking his full salary. He's still got his security with his family. Him and his wife have different addresses. Supposedly he's in the Cayman Islands. Who knows if that's true? He won't come on the show. Guess what? He's reading his DMs, but he's not answering them. The ego on this guy to take the full salary, never apologize, and hopefully he feels bad. I mean, I'm assuming you got people trapped.
He's a pirate.
Back. It's all a joke. But here, let's get that off our chest here for a second.
Well, I like it when you get fired up because you're one of the least emotional people that I know. But that just shows you what everybody in the Voyager community is going through. I mean, it's a terrible thing to have to keep going over and over this, and then to think that we're almost to the end and have the rug pulled like that. I think that it communicates a lot to people because I think a lot of people are feeling that same way, or maybe even a little bit more fired up. And so I think it's good that you get fired up like that.
Yeah. So Roland, they had moved some assets. Roland in the chat is talking about moving some Binance US.
Well, we have to go back a little bit in the chat.
Yeah, Binance US has to return whatever assets they were sent. They're going to return. Voyager was in a hearing today talking about what coins they can and cannot give back. Some of the coins they're going to have to cash people out. Some of them they're going to have to give in kind. Bottom line is 40% sucks, especially when you're looking at 75 of FTX. And even at the worst case in Binance, when they first announced the deal, we were looking at 49. Then we got excited, 48 to 52 to start, then 25. Oh, really? Okay. Now back to 40. Okay. And again, hopefully you guys stick with us, and hopefully you do, because we're going to be here to help you guys recover. We've got some great ideas we want to share. In fact, originally we were going to do a crypto style draft, but can't do that right now with this hanging over our heads. We'll bring that back on the next show in terms of what you would draft right now for the future, because the draft is not just about today, it's about the future. So I do believe there'll be an opportunity to start recovering, but this does hurt. And let's hope, and we spoke earlier, you're not 100% sure, I don't want to be too negative, that they're actually going to get this done in 4 weeks, that we're done with all the hiccups. Because today they were talking about, well, we don't want to get in trouble. Here's what we can and cannot do, blah, blah, blah. I was a little disappointed today with the judge. I wanted a more sense of urgency. I wanted him to get off his chair and say, listen, here are the dates. Here's what I want. I want it done. Customers have had enough. It's not enough. So I think what we need to do, Mr. FOMO, is re-put the judge's phone number underneath when we're done with the show. You could add that. So we'll go ahead and put that back on there. We certainly have Judge let them know either by email or by leave a message and say, hey, that's it. We don't want to wait any more than 21 days. Whatever you have, give to us now. And also, we want a deadline and dates on when this Alameda FTX thing is going to go. So if it's going to be months, let us know. Don't let us be sitting here in the dark, not knowing when this is going to happen. Be transparent with us. If it's going to be months, then I have some objections to that. Not that my objections matter in the court, but the idea that this would drag out months, that idea still, they were asking in court today, do we still need to retain Voyager employees? The answer is no. We need to toggle, we need to get rid of this, and we need to stop paying these people so they quit dragging this out. Because right now, who looks like they're in control? Does the judge look like like he's in control if he's not setting deadlines and making this happen? Well, Faith, I appreciate you coming in, one of our loyal viewers. You said the judge is not going to answer. Let's at least send the emails and leave the voice messages so he knows. Well, yeah, they're definitely not going to answer. Whether the answers or not is immaterial. You never know who's watching the show. Point being yesterday. You don't know who is watching the show. In fact, it would not shock me at all if Stephen Ehrlich has watched a couple of these episodes. I'm going to put it out there. I don't have proof, but let me tell you, he's still reading my DMs. So it would not, and he was not happy in the summer when we did a show and mentioned his name. So you don't know who's watching. At least put it out there that
I mean, put the idea in his head. Even if it just reads the title of your email, put the title, put something in the title, or, even if he just clicks it over on the voicemail and here's the first thing you have to say, make that first thing count before he deletes it, right? So that your thoughts get into his head. The more we get these ideas into the judge's head, the more he'll be on our side. And the more people that do that, the more he'll see we are actually frustrated and active.
Nazar in the chat's right. We do have no advocates, not the UCC. We got to take it upon ourselves. And we're not going to miraculously get all our money back in the next couple of days. No, but I do think calling and emailing helps a little bit. You remember at one point, the judge was like, I'm surprised I'm not hearing from the creditors. And then all of a sudden he heard from people. It wasn't just this show, it was other people reaching out, Twitter spaces. And then he's like, this can't keep going on forever. That wasn't a coincidence. They did hear you. They did. Those of you that send that emails, they were read, right? We're a small channel, but like I said, you never know who's watching. So why don't we make this a bigger channel? And while we're doing that, let's make our voices heard, because it's not going to hurt.
And make it short and sweet. Do what you need to do to make your salient points or your important stuff right there in the front, so that it's not, don't drag out a huge email to them, but let your voice be heard for sure, because it does matter. Self-advocation is one of the most important things you could do in this process. And I promise you, even if it just lets you get that off your chest, it'll help you go about your day a little bit better.
Yeah. Because right now, unfortunately, guys, we're not getting closure for another month. So, a couple of things of advice. Do plan, because hopefully there's that 40% coming in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Have a plan with what you're going to do. It looks like it's definitely going to be coming as a toggle from the Voyager app. So you're going to be leaving the Voyager app. Have a plan, whether it's a cold wallet, whether it's another exchange, whether it's a hot wallet. Have a plan. What are you going to buy? What are you going to do? What are your expectations for Bitcoin? Ours, we've told you before, May and June before the halving are not traditionally great months. So you want to kind of plan around that. Could that change? Absolutely. But I would plan possibly to be ready to buy some Bitcoin low over the next 4 to 7 to 8 weeks. That's just our opinion about studying the charts. Doesn't mean we're expert, doesn't mean 100% right, but be prepared. So if BTC does go down to 23 or 24K, that's a great buy-in, right? Because you're getting it at a low price, much less than a year before the halving, and that can help your recovery. There are other ways to help recovery. We've talked about some of the alts, but if you want to play it safe and you want to start somewhere safe, BTC would be the place to go.
And to be honest with you, the strength in your portfolio exists long before you ever invest in something, and that's your plan. And so what AZcrypto is talking about is spot on. Have a plan before you start. Just don't start throwing money around. Have an idea of what you want to get into, why you want to get into it. Really do your homework on each and everything. And, if you have to, keep a spreadsheet, keep a notebook. As a matter of fact, do those things. Try and, write down some of your thoughts on these things as you go along. And you may come back to some things and think, wow, I can't believe I was thinking that about this coin. Or you may realize that you've been spot on all along, and you'll just keep DCAing as you go.
And I'll guarantee you one thing: a year from now, you're going to look back at these prices and say, wow, yes. And unfortunately, a lot of our investment funds are trapped, but not financial advice. If you have a safe place like a cold wallet to invest, the alts right now, if you can afford to invest, some of the ones we've talked about, we'll have our draft coming up. There's some nice safe picks to really help with your recovery, and that's what it's about. We got into crypto, help our families with a better life. We believe in the technology. None of us got in to get stuck in bankruptcy, and so we've been going through this together, and hopefully we thought we saw the light in the tunnel, and now it's been darkened. Hopefully we see it again. There's a great question in the chat. How do they decide 50, 60, 74? Well, we lost 100 million around there, give or take, between this deal, 20 million to buy the assets. a lot of extra stuff on the side. So basically,
No,
we don't have 50% to get. They don't have 50% to give us, right? The 40% is what's kind of left because a lot of money has been wasted between two failed purchase attempts and lawyer fees and all this other stuff that's happened.
Steve
So
Ehrlich's
here we
salary.
are. Yeah, we should have.
But
We should have toggled.
let's talk about
FTX.
that. Let's talk about that toggle a little bit and when it happens versus what's going on in the market, right? And so now, as we push this back even further, we start to talk about that Halloween indicator. It's something that a lot of people are beginning to talk about in crypto, and we've talked about previously. But go away in May and stay away. And so, if we keep pushing this back, how does that affect the overall of what we get back? Are they going to take a snapshot now of what's there?
Well, no, they've already rebalanced, so you're kind of in the. It's not going to be a huge variation, I don't think, from that 40%. Got to remember, they put a lot of things now in USDC. Like you're getting cash value. You're not getting.
But that means a lot of it has been rebalanced. But what hasn't been rebalanced?
I mean, there's some coins you're just going to have to cash out. So I assume maybe those coins,
when that cash out happens, if we're in the middle of this mini summer bear, that could affect our payout, right?
That could, well, it depends on your, what the estate has. Supposedly they recovered a little bit of money. We'll see.
Well, let's say what happens to people who are majority VGX holders?
Well, technically you are supposed to get, everyone was kind of equal in a way because you were supposed to get a percentage of your total claim. So it didn't really matter if you were heavy on BTC or USDC or anything like that. What matters now is you might not get your crypto. Like if you had all Algorand, that's one of the things on the list today that came out that they can't give you back. They have to cash you out, but they're supposed to cash you out at that percentage. And then you do what you need to do with that money. Like I said, we'll be here to try to help people recover, but we'll have to wait and see. There's going to be some court dates between now and the next 3 weeks. Unfortunately, more court. We were hoping to be done with this, but so I recommend right now, don't anticipate anything before June, right?
So
yes, Dennis, 40% without Alameda, as much as 65%, and that's a huge if they can win this Alameda brawl / mediation.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything that I've heard is, and everything that I've seen, and the logic that I've applied to it myself, all says that Alameda FTX doesn't have much of a claim here. And from what I've heard from people who have spoken to their lawyers, is that they may get as much as 10%, but that leaves the retail investors, the creditors, with quite a bit left.
So if we'll see.
We will see, but that's the word on the street, unconfirmed, right?
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to wait and see, guys. Again, recovery is gonna be on us. Whether hopefully you continue to follow us and support us. We really greatly appreciate it. We love you guys for coming on the ride.
You mentioned something earlier that I want to come back to. When was it possible, and how was it possible? I mean, let's go back through the timeline of this whole thing. Let's go all the way back to January, February 2022. Voyager knew they were in trouble, right?
Yes.
They were looking down the barrel of the VLP. They knew they were already planned, and they'd already marketed VLP 2.0. They were pushing forward with that, and they realized with the market dying, they weren't going to be able to fund, the earning.
Mm-hmm.
That they were trying to pay out. They weren't going to be able to give 9%. They weren't going to be able to give on USDC. They weren't going to be able to give 20% on DOT or whatever they were giving, or 13% on DOT. And so they started to loan out money in insane amounts, and that's what led to that 3AC loan. And so then you get there and you go, fast forward a little bit further, you get to the point where they think, all right, we've already worked with one set of bankruptcy lawyers in May of that year.
Looks like Mr. FOMO froze there for a little bit.
Oh, am I back? Am I back yet? Or are you still... You're the one that looks frozen to me. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So so you get to June of that year or you get to May of that year, they work with one bankruptcy set of lawyers. They get to June, they work with Kirkland and Ellis. At what point could they have sold the company? And
it was a couple days before. Steve didn't do it. He has a big ego, and it would have saved people a lot of money and a lot of time. But we can't go back. So
right, we can't rewind it a year, but just to let you know how crooked these people are, and how that's what we're really dealing with, is pirates of unregulated industry. And that's how careful you actually have to be in this industry, is because these people, this whole time, Steve was your buddy, right? We were stacking Steves together. He was having beers with people. And then at the end of the day, he was really just trying to rug pull us. It was just really an elaborate rug pull at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, guys, we will keep you updated as always. We're not just going to do Voyager shows. We're going to do other shows as well into the crypto space. So keep it right here. Please, please, guys, don't lose faith just yet. We will try to get through this together.
Yeah, keep your heads up, and we'll keep going with this content.
Yeah, we'll keep going. We're not giving up. Like I said last time, we are just getting started. If you haven't killed us now, you're not going to kill us anytime soon. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZ Crypto. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.